Hi and welcome to leg injury prevention training. We will do always one exercise against leg injuries, and then I'm going to read from here something about silvopasture, and I try to learn and understand what silvopasture is and try to memorize it. And participating in the exercise is at your own risk. So let's start with the first exercise, the warm-up exercise. We are breathing in and going down, and breathing out again. And we're repeating the second a couple of times, and out. And breathe in again, and out, and again in, and out, and for the last time breathe in, and out. Now close the legs. And we have done the opening exercise, and now we can start with the exercise, and all exercises are standing on one leg. But before we start with the first exercise, let's look for the first bullet point written to silvopasture. And that is that silva is the Latin word for forest. So we're talking about silvopasture, but in Latin there's a word, and that word has the sound of silva, and that means forest. So in Latin, a forest is silva, and that is about silvopasture. And we are not told that just for some reason, but it must have a reason. First exercise. We're having a good standing leg. The upper leg is with flexed foot in the air. And we're swinging that leg with flexed foot to the side and in front. And the foot is flexed and the toes are pointing more or less in front all the time. So silvopasture is something, which is what we're talking about, and silva is Latin for forest. And these two names must have something to do with each other, not just the sound. And we're just changing the upper leg into the air. And we're swinging it a couple of times to the side and in the front before we're looking for the second bullet point written to silvopasture. The foot is flexed and the toes are pointing more or less in front. And we're just swinging the leg. And this exercise is not about the swinging leg, not so much. It's about the standing leg, because it has to correct all the imbalances. And let's look for the second bullet point after that. In Latin, silva means forest. Silvopasture is a way of doing something. Okay, it is not a thing, it is a way of doing something. So it could be running slowly, running fast, whatever. It is something which could be done. Let's get a bit on. Trees can be planted to harvest the fruits and the wood of the trees themselves. Animals like cattle and pigs can be led to special meadows to graze. Okay, trees can be planted, not randomly by nature, but intentionally by humans in places. So that the humans then can wait for the fruits to blossom, the spring, I don't know the proper term, and so that the fruits can be harvested, and the trees itself, the trunk, can be used for firewood or something, or to make furniture. And animals can be also, like cattle and pig, can be led to special meadows to graze. So cattle that are cows and bulls and so on, they can be led to special meadows to graze. So there can be meadows, and there can be these animals led to so that they can eat there. The next exercise. We're having a standing leg. The upper leg is again with the flexed foot in the air, and we are bringing that leg with the flexed foot in front and the back, to the front side and the back side of our standing leg. And that exercise is again not so much about the leg which is doing the movement, but about the standing leg which has to correct all the imbalances. And a few times more. And now we're changing our 2 feet. So what we already had is that silva is in Latin forest, and that silvopasture is a way of doing something, and that trees can be planted intentionally at a place to gather their fruits or the wood, and that animals can be led to meadows and lawns so that we can eat there. Silvopasture is the name of a way of planting trees in an area in a way that in between the trees a meadow is growing from which animals like cattle and pigs can eat from. Silvopasture is the practice of integrating forestry and grazing in a way that both branches benefit from it. So the trees are planted in a way that they're in between grass can grow. So they're not planted directly next to each other, like firs. Sometimes there's basically no sunlight coming down onto the ground, and there can nothing grow because no sunlight happens there, and plants need photosynthesis. Plants need the sunlight to grow. So the trees are not directly next to each other, but there's a bit of place between them so that sunlight can come down and grass and meadow can still grow there. And now we have a trees growing, which can have fruits or something. And there's also place for meadows and grass to grow, so that animals can be led to these places and that they can eat there. The next exercise, we are having a good standing leg. We're bringing the other leg up into a right angle with a flexed foot. We're having even aligned hips, so don't be too high on one side, even aligned hips, and a tall and straight back. Now we're bringing that leg to the outside. We are breathing in. And out again, the leg back into the middle and contract down. And again, the leg up, right angle, flexed foot, even aligned hips, and tall up with the back, the leg to the outside. Just to measure the time, are we breathing in? And out back into the middle and contract down. Now the other leg, the leg up, right angle, flexed foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back. The leg to the outside, we're breathing in. And out, leg back into the middle and contract down. And the second time, the fat leg up, right angle with the leg, flexed foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back. The leg to the outside, you're breathing in. And out again, back into the middle. Silvopasture is a method, is a way of doing something. It's the way of planting trees in a way that there's space in between, so that their meadows can grow and plants can grow with some meadows and lawn, so that if there's a cow, a bull or a pig brought there, that they can eat there. There are also other types of something called agroforestry. Agroforestry, that's the name agriculture, I guess, and forestry has something to do with forests. So there are other types beside of silvopasture, which has something to do with making agriculture and forests together. So pastures where wheat is growing or corn together with trees. If I take the birds and puzzle something together. If properly done, silvopasturing can increase the productivity because the fruits from the trees can be harvested at the same time as livestock be held. Livestock is another name for domesticated animals like cows, pigs, chicken, something, or turkeys. If properly done, silvopasture can increase the productivity because at the same time the trees, the wood from them, and the fruits, next exercise, can be harvested and animals can be as livestock held there. Again, the leg up, right angle, flexed foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back, very important by this exercise. And now we're pressing with the hand against the inside of the knee, and we're having a little bend in the elbow. Tall up with the back, even aligned hips, and a little bend in the elbow, and put a bit of effort at least in it. And we're changing with the other leg, the leg up, right angle with the leg, flexed foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back, and we're pressing with the hand against the inside of the leg, and we're having a little bend in the elbow. Even aligned hips, tall up with the back, a little longer, and we're done. Directly on to the next exercise. We're a bit behind time. But I don't think there's not much left. Now up with the leg, right angle with the leg. The last time we set up the foot flex, even aligned hips, tall up with the back, and now the knee or the leg presses up and to the side. So the leg is doing the movement. The leg presses up to the side, up to the side. You don't have to overdo it with your effort here, but put some effort into it. And a few times more, tall up with the back, even aligned hips. And now we're changing the other leg up, right angle with the leg, flexed foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back, and the knee presses up into the hand and to the side, up and to the side. And have a tall and straight back and neutral position in the spine, and even aligned hips, and to the side, up to the side, up to the side. A few times more. And now we can go back to silvopasture, which is a way of doing something, of planting trees in a way that where grass grows, where livestock can feed on, so the productivity is increased by getting of the trees the benefits and the benefits by having the animals. Silvopasture, planting trees in a way that animals can graze in between, is done since many centuries all over the world. So it's not a new invention. It's done all over the world in many countries since centuries, so since hundreds of years. Silvopasture is a highly sustainable strategy to prevent water availability problems or nutrients imbalances which happen when only trees in an area, only meadows in other areas are. The partial tree coverage helps by silvopastures to mitigate temperature extremes and droughts. Less temperature extremes and a better soil for the trees helps the animals to be less stressful, improving their fitness and longevity. Now, we are having the toes of a standing leg pointing to the outside. The other leg is with the heel on the ground, and we're lifting the heel off the ground and placing it again on the ground. And don't do too many here, do this exercise at your own pace. So what was there just written? There was written that, basically, paraphrased, something like that the trees are giving partial shadow. So not everywhere is a shadow, so that no sunlight comes to the ground and nothing can grow, but a partial shadow. So there is no shadow, there's sunlight coming to the ground, so that grass can grow. But where at other places is a shadow, and we're changing with the other leg onto the ground, and drought are not so extreme. And these tree crowns are giving a coverage, so that's where there is more shade, more shadow, and the droughts are not so much, and the temperature extremes are not so great. So if there's a heat wave, the crowns of the trees are giving coverage, so that the ground doesn't draw out. And because the animals, the next exercise, we're having a standing leg, and the other leg is with flex foot in the air, and we're bringing it back. And the upper part of the body goes down in a straight line, and the standing leg is as tall as possible to bring the stress of this exercise onto the biceps femoris of the hamstrings, because we want to prevent this exercise hamstring injuries. So because the animals are not living under such extreme temperature extremes, and because there is not so much drought happening, because the shade of the trees are helping that the water doesn't get so fast out of the soil, changing the leg, the animals are not under so much stress. And also the availability of food and nutrients, because the ground has better water in it and better things, is better, so that the animals, the pigs, the cattle, maybe even chickens, was nothing written of it, but that would be livestock. And we're done. Last exercise, just with it. Just no. And breathe in again. And out. Again in. And out. Now breathe in and cross the legs. And we're done with the leg injury prevention training. So, that the animals are living a less stressful life and having a better fitness and a greater longevity. That is silvopasture. So, planting trees in a way that there's space in between for grass to grow, that animals can grass there. Let's just copyright for the music. I'm answering it in 10 seconds. I thank you very much. I got to answer that call. That music is just, if someone is wondering, is because it's not more than 10 seconds. It would be copyright protected, which is why if I get a second call, I must close immediately. It is from the movie Hateful Eight, written by Ennio Morricone, the music. The movie is very brutal, so even if you're allowed legally to watch it, it's very brutal. So, the music is Hateful Eight, written by Ennio Morricone. I got to answer the call. I thank you very much. Silvopasture, I said, planting the trees in a way that grass grows in between and animals can graze there. I thank you very much. See you next time.